Ah, Catan. One of the great classics. We'll start the show any minute now. Any minute. Wow, is this still going on? Hey, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go ahead and run the intro. Wait, seriously? Are we still waiting? For real?
Cut me off, man. As long as he can't build a set.
Tell you what, let's go ahead and see some interviews and see what the people are saying. You guys keep playing.
But what is the game that introduced you into board gaming?
Oh my gosh. So I'm an Indiana native, and gosh, I want to say it was like summer of like 99 or 2000. It was Catan, classic. And what reintroduced me, 8 years later was pandemic.
Sure.
So great opportunity to play with family, friends, and good games, good times, great experiences.
So for me, Catan is one of the best games ever. Best games designed ever and on the market. I love the game. I cannot create such a elegant and simple and nice mechanics, so it is not something that I can copy, but this is something that I respect a lot. This is the game that puts so many people into the hobby. This is this ultimate getaway game. This is the game that put me into the hobby as well. So huge kudos to designer and huge kudos to the publisher, and this game will be with us forever because in my opinion it's a perfect game. There's everything, strategy, discussion, negotiation, trading, like perfect game.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just the first game that was a new game. It was the first thing that opened my eyes to. I mean, I'm sure this is a common thing that a lot of people say, but just open your eyes to new mechanics and new ways of interacting with people. And it was very addictive. I think the heart, this wonderful heart of Catan is just sort of Moorishness of you just want to see the next die roll. You want to see what you might be able to get the next time. Because there's that wonderful mixture of strategy and luck, I think it never really gets old.
It's a really great game.
Yeah.
It's one of those neutral games where it works and it just works.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't need to do much else. Yeah. It's not. I don't want to call it basic. It's very vanilla.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
it just works for what it is and it does it right.
To gaming, were there any games that got you into gaming at all, or is this your first?
Actually, I've been dead since 1994, so...
I think actually Catan was like the first game that I got into that got me in the hobby.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you still play Catan now, or is it something that it got your feet wet and you've gone on to other things? Where does that stand with you?
I still play it when I have a chance. Yeah, me and my friends like to play that every once in a while. Yeah.
Have you seen the recently announced Brotherhood of the Watch Catan?
Yes, I also tried that. That was pretty cool too. I really liked it. I like how the rules are simple and it flows very nicely.
Nice. Now.
I started gaming back in 2004.
Germany.
In the military when I was living in Germany.
Yeah.
And then once I got out of the military, I live in Warsaw, Indiana, just north of here. So we're like, biggest convention, might as well try it.
Yeah. Was there any certain game that you were introduced to while you were there?
Settlers of Catan.
Okay, so that's a very popular one,
Yeah,
especially in Germany.
Yeah, the local firefighters would bring it into play, and that's how we started, was on Catan and then Carcassonne.
Okay.
And our first board game was Settlers of Catan, but in German instructions, so
Yeah.
Is that something, do you still play Catan much at all, or have you moved on to other games? What's your relationship with that?
Well, that was our first game. We haven't really played it very much anymore, but gosh, I have too many board games
It's easy to pick back up and get right back to it, so.
That's right, you mentioned one of the games that kind of helped you into the game space was Catan. It's a very popular game. It's going on over 20 years.
Yeah.
They've branched off and become their own studio. They just announced the Game of Thrones, Catan, Brothers on the Wall, which you guys actually got to partner with them on.
Yes, we did.
So having grown up with Catan, what is it like to be able to partner with the company that is now Catan, working on that kind of a product?
It's wonderful. So they are actually a studio partner of ours underneath the Asmodee North America umbrella. Which I found out the day after I accepted the job with Fantasy Flight Games. So that was like a calling home, like, oh my gosh, Mom, you know, it's very exciting. But it is wonderful working with them. The guys over there, like everybody who works on that team is great. The Toybers are a wonderful family. They're so sweet and so open to, you know, our feedback and us saying, you know, that we want to do this awesome collaboration, and they were also very excited about that collaboration, and having those studios tied together now the way that they are gave us such a cool opportunity to mix and to bring a Game of Thrones to Catan and bring Catan to a Game of Thrones, to sort of tie these two, you know, iconic pieces of geekdom, I guess, together.
So some say that Catan is a modern classic. Well, we're gonna have a show all about Catan. This is our Catan special. But first, let's learn a little bit more about Catan. Welcome to the bountiful world of Catan. As you can see, there's actually been 5 large expansions, or 4 expansions in the base game of Catan that have come out over the years. And honestly, most people just play the first one. But we'd like to take a second here and just sort of dig into each of the expansions. I'm not going to go over the base game too much, but I will set it up so you guys can see it. So the game starts by rolling the die to see who goes first. High roll wins. First player determines where on the board they want to set up their first settlement. Place their settlement and a road. Players go around clockwise doing the same. Blue player chose to go over here, place settlement and a road. Then it goes back around counterclockwise, also taking turns placing yet another settlement and a road. Going back to the first player who places their settlement and a road. Players then take turns rolling the die, revealing what the die value is. Here we'll say 4 struck. When that happens, token a settlement or a city on the border of the hex with the number that was rolled gets said resource that they were on. So here a 4 was rolled, so blue would get an ore card. They put that in front of themselves, you know, face down in their hand. There is another 4, so red would also pick up a sheep. They go ahead and claim that. Red does anyway. On a turn, a player can build items, expanding the number of resources they can take in. They can also buy a development card, which can help them long term to win the game. And the first player to get 10 points wins the game. Players can get longest road if you have 5 or more consecutive roads in a row. You can get that. That's worth 2 victory points. And then the largest army, if you have 3 or more knights, you can claim that. So that is base Catan. Most people know about it. I won't go too much further into detail here. I don't need to play it out. But I would like to talk about each of the expansions and what they provide. So I believe the first expansion that came out was Seafarers of Catan. Catan, and this is probably my least favorite of the expansions. It seems to add to the overall length of the game without adding any actual complexity. Basically, it lets you set up islands around the board that then you can build ships or ship lanes to then move out to them. When you settle on an island, you get bonus victory points. So that one's okay. I don't love it. I won't dig much more into that one. Catan Traders and Barbarians. This one's really interesting. It felt to me like this one, it was a whole bunch of mini expansions that were then just summed together and sold in this box. There are multiple scenarios that can be played. To go to a few of them, there's a river scenario where basically you have 2 rivers running through Catan, and they provide special bonuses if you build a bridge over the river or if you build adjacent to the river. They can also give you wildcard resources if you build at a certain point along the river, and those are okay. not great. There is a caravan, which has little camel meeples or keeples. They're kind of fun. Basically what you do there is it adds a blind bid mechanic into the game. Then there's also barbarians that are included in this game. And how barbarians work is they're placed on different locations over time, and if you get 3 in one location, basically that location will flip over. When that happens, you actually can't collect resources from that hex. And so then what happens is you have to move knights there equal to greater than the number of barbarians in that region. So generally I don't recommend this one unless you're getting bored with Catan, you've played it a million times, you're looking for something a little different. But it does add a little extra something. There is different mechanics that end up working in well with Catan that don't happen in base Catan or Seafarers. So this is maybe something to check out if you're looking for something a little different. Alright, Cities and Knights is arguably my favorite expansion. Or should I say was, until Explorers and Pirates came along. But we'll get to that in a second. Cities and Knights adds the idea of commodities and resources. So you still have your base resources here, however you also add paper, coin, and cloth into the game. Effectively, when you build a city, in base Catan, you'll get 2 versions of that resource, or 2 of that resource. In Knights and Cities and Knights, you will get a paper and a wood if you have a city there, which means your resources get more scarce because you can't double down on those with bigger cities. Instead, what you end up getting is these commodities. You trade in commodities to then upgrade one of your cities, trying to get it to a metropolis. You get bonuses as you build it up. It suffers from the rich get richer, generally speaking, right? Because you end up getting these bonuses for having more resources and more commodities, so it becomes really hard to catch up. However, some of those cards only work if you aren't the winning player. If you're winning right now, you can't use them. Certainly trying to outdo each other, and it's a question of, do you build up a larger base right now, or do you go all in on one of those commodities to try and leverage that to then beat out your opponents? So this is definitely fun. It probably tacks on an extra hour to the game, so you're probably talking a 2-hour playthrough for this. But it is one of our favorites. The latest expansion, Explorers and Pirates, at first when I opened it up, I was real leery of it. A real heavy box. I mean, you each have your own bag of larger cities and boats and ships and harbor settlements, and I mean it's just a lot of pieces. But outside of that, you also have these strange pieces. I mean, look at these tiles. Look at this thing. I mean, that's crazy, right? And so I was really daunted by it, but the rule book does a great job of explaining that basically there's certain scenarios and they have you set up these large swaths on the board to then help you set up for a scenario. 3 scenarios in this. There spices for Catan, and fish for Catan, and pirate lair. In the pirate lairs, you actually will take your ships, you'll load them up with knights, and then you'll go and try and kill off those pirates. You get bonuses for that, you get victory points for that. It adds a really fun flair to the game and adds some theme that I would say was missing from Catan before. So, with that, those are the 4 main expansions to Catan. Each of them have their own little thing. I think our favorite still remains Cities and Knights, with Explorers and Pirates coming up a close second. Catan has kind of become a... as much as Coca-Cola sells all their swag, Catan does the same thing, right? So you've got little dice that you can have. I've actually seen these in... They released a giant version of Catan. In fact, I have one here. Hold on. Here you go. So this will actually play up to... contains everything you need for 6 players, but I believe it scales, right? It stacks on top of each other. So I think you can play up to like 20-some players side by side. Here's the dice that they give you, and then you roll these little things, which are a blast, by the way. good fun. I don't even know if people can get these anymore, so there's certainly collector's items in here. Here is the Catan World Championship Berlin 2014 tiles. Here is Atlantis Catan, which, as I understand it, they actually re-implemented parts of this in another game. And then there were the two historical scenarios. This one is, I think, Alexander the Great, which is cool, except for, again, in German, so I'm working on that one. Oh, Troy, I believe. They have a Trojan horse on the front of it here. The third of the scenarios is Das Buch zum Spielen. Sorry for butchering that, I don't speak German. This is just a book full of scenarios. So you basically have 4 scenario packs here. They came out with a Christmas Catan game. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, Santa Claus, Catan Scenarios Santa Claus, where you'd actually put this out there, it's a little tile that goes on the board, and if you build adjacent to it, you can get Christmas presents, then you can trade in 2 of those Christmas presents for a resource or another commodity that you wanted. That was a blast. Here are Catan geographies. It's just a bunch of different maps. I've been collecting them for a while, so Indiana and Ohio. Delmarva. New England. Let's go into some indie things, right? Our channel has often done some independent game reviews. So the first one I want to talk about is Heroes in Capitals by Zach Overcashier. This game we received quite a while ago, and we actually had quite a bit of fun with it. We'll have a review coming out soon. But basically you have a hero that can get upgrades over time. You have, so overall it adds additional complexity into the game, I would say, but it's actually a lot of fun. One of the downsides is that some of these aspects, for instance the heroes and defending, have actually been included in the Catan game coming up, what is it? Brotherhood of the Watch, which is a Game of Thrones variant, or a Game of Thrones themed Catan. Some of these different mechanics have actually been implemented in there. The only difference is I guess this one isn't official, but it is out there right now if you wanted to get a hold of it. I don't think Brotherhood on the Watch is quite available yet. So, of course, we have World Wonders Catan. So this one's a print and play. I went ahead and did some additional production work on it to make it more interesting. But basically they took 7 Wonders and Catan and mashed it up. And it's actually surprisingly fun, I will say. But it might not be for everyone, and it is a print and play. It's highly rated, but basically you have these giant tables, and if you can complete each of these things in 1, 2, and 3 phases, much like 7 Wonders, you can get either a special action, or you can get victory points if you can complete all 3 levels of your Wonder. Okay. So what am I missing? I basically covered everything. There's a lot going on. I didn't mean for this to be this long-winded, but there is a lot of Catan going on in the world. Oh, we didn't talk about these. So there's also appendant games to the Catan series that are more sharing the same theme. Here's one is Catan Dice, where you really just, it's kind of a Yahtzee variant, where you're rolling dice, you get to re-roll them twice, similar to Yahtzee, but you're trying to build a settlement or a city or a road, and you can only build certain settlements or cities based upon how far you've already built, and you're just trying to get the highest, most number of points by doing so. It's a simple and light game, and if people love Catan, you should check this out as well. And then there's the Catan Travelers Edition, which I actually had a blast with. I play this quite a bit with my niece. This is what we trained her on, I guess, so to speak. It's got little pegs that you put down in there to say, whether you've built a settlement or a city. It's got these tiny cards and these little trays that pop out. This is pretty good for packaging and moving around, like maybe on a trip or something like that, but I don't know if I'd play it on a plane or a train. It's just too tight quarters, really. But it's a good good pick if you can find it. Catan Compact Traveler Edition. And then finally, two last things I want to talk about is setting up, or not setting up, but really when you set up the game, there are additional things you can buy for Catan. So this is the base game. They have this outside tray thing. This was probably invented, or yeah, came out 2008-ish. But some people don't like this enough because when you do this, stuff can move around, right? So the first thing I saw that came out was this thing called Hexels, right? I don't know how many people bought these, but basically it's this little plastic thing with magnets in there so they stick together. So let's say you were setting up the game and you didn't have this for whatever reason. So you're setting these up, you'd actually inset it in there. Looks pretty cool, right? And then your next one would go there. And look, they just lock together like that. And it's actually pretty solid. I mean, that's pretty good, and you still have plenty of room to put your city and your road there. So it works pretty well. The only downside is there's usually not enough space in the box to store such a thing. And they've created these, so why bother, I guess? They were pretty popular there for a bit, at least on the Kickstarter, but due to delays and whatnot, and I think actually starting to use these in the base game, these may have fallen out of favor. Along that similar turn, the Catan boards started coming out with some interesting innovations. Here's one example. They have a wooden edition as well, which looks really sweet. But here's the plastic version, where basically you have your table set up, and then you just slide that into place, it locks in, and then you put your pieces on here. This allows you to pick it up and move it. Let's say you're playing at a table, someone's getting ready for dinner, and you're like, how do we save the game? We can't move it. Well, you can pick it up with this and take it somewhere else. So it's actually pretty cool. I have to say we haven't really used it though, because on a game night I don't want to bring like a big lugging thing with me, and I know we're not going to move away from the table. But maybe it's Thanksgiving time or Christmas or something, you're playing at the dinner table, this would be the thing to use. So again, that's Catan boards. I believe they're still out there. I haven't checked for some time though. So overall, those are all of the Catan things that I can think of that you might be interested in. A quick overview, none of these were detailed, but something to check out for sure. All right, let's go back to the show. Thank you. Oh, I got a text.
Wow.
Right?
Your ringtones are mighty realistic.
Right?
It almost sounds like a voice.
It's amazing.
That's amazing.
Oh, our producers texted and they have a challenge for us.
Okay.
Why?
And the challenge is...
He's standing right there. He could have just told us.
Right? The challenge is a thrifter challenge. We have to make a mammoth
costume?
Yes, a mammoth Catan version of the game for $20 or less. So we each get $20 and we have to thrift together the largest size Catan game we can make.
Oh.
Well then.
Here's the trick. I act like I'm doing the challenge, but really, I go to the club.
It's all about the Jacksons, baby.
Because it is currently 10 in the morning and all the clubs are open.
Shall we begin?
Let us begin.
Ha-ha!
Alright, so here's the key to this. I take their keys and I run off.
Where are my keys?
Right there.
Bum bum bum. Our first stop along the tour is to Dunkin' Donuts. Eric, how's your Mammoth Catan going?
It's going to be delicious. I mean... Well, we got boxes. Okay, correction. I got boxes. Y'all are out of luck.
just got out of Hobby Lobby. What'd you get, Eric?
Nothing.
Nothing? Brian?
Same. A new friend.
Just really expensive. Look, guys, I can make sheep white.
We all know that you're going to be the one that goes like way over budget anyway, Sean.
Am I?
Yeah. So Sean, how much over budget are you?
All of it. I'm all over budget.
Truck America at 4 Flags. This is America.
There he is. So we're being escorted out of the area by Cedar Falls' finest. I will say he was very polite about it.
He was very polite, very professional.
Yes.
Apparently, this is for Cedar Falls residents, which I am. Sean is not. And he said you were supposed to drop stuff off, not pick stuff up. So. But yeah, it was an experience worth having. Maybe.
So Eric, first day of filming, how'd we do on Project Catan?
I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty much the only one that actually went quote-unquote dumpster diving into cardboard recyclables, and even then, I mean, it was our local Arby's, which sketchy at best.
The guys seem nice though.
Yeah, oh yeah, I mean, nice people willing to give away their cardboard, but once you looked inside the bin that it was all in, it was, I need to sanitize my hands and every inch of my body.
So far this Catan challenge has been interesting. Way overshot the mark. As it turns out, not very good at monitoring my cash flow. But this was only 25 cents, so I basically saved money on that. Whoa, no, emoji! Basically saved money on that. But yeah, my rope cost way more than I expected to. I was expecting like $3 for like a whole bunch of it. And then I was gonna paint it, but then spray paint ended up being like $4 or $5 a piece. So that didn't work out. But yeah, basically, I think you kind of figured out my idea. You'll have to wait for the reveal. And then of course, I was in nature for a bit. So I'm basically trying to get free things now to try and figure out the rest. Hoping my emoji doesn't get too dirty with this being thrown at me in a second. But
shh. Okay, so I'm on plan 7 for my tiles. But I think what I'm doing is going to work. I got a bunch of plastic tablecloths, going to cut them into hexes, got a bunch of plates, going to put numbers on them, got a bunch of nails to hold stuff in the ground, have no cities, settlements, or roads, and only $5.36. But I have no idea either. But I got cool hexes. And I know Sean's over budget, so got that going for me. There they are! Alright, so we got my everything assembled here for Mammoth Catan, all fitting into a single bag, which I have yet to weigh, but it can be supported within a single pinky. I'm not gonna say Sean's can't, but I'm gonna go ahead and say Sean's can't. So, essentially we're running with components, mostly corrugated plastic, some cardboard, and tablecloths, styrofoam plates, and that's essentially the entirety of my components. So I do not know the official final count for Sean and Eric. I know that I am looking at under $20 net. Granted, I also took a fair amount from various dumpsters and recycleries. So, curious to see how it works. Slightly intrigued and worried by the weather currently. Not sure how waterproof my stuff is, but we're about to find out. So we are here at the Trinity Field in Cedar Falls. Gonna go ahead and set up and hope for the best.
Alright, Eric.
Oh, no way. I had no idea what you were doing.
Alright, Eric, what's the plan here? Chef Eric.
Okay, so mine is going to be all out of zebra cakes. My board, my hexes, I'm going to frost each one in a different color. Got food coloring here. The issue I kind of ran into was ore. Don't really have silver food coloring, so we got these little 6-lit metallic looking things. So I'm gonna frost and then just add those to it. Everything, most of my components are food. So you'll see over here we got the resources, all M&Ms.
Very nice.
Got your cities, settlements, and roads. And you want ports, I'll write on some cake.
All right.
So.
Very cool.
Okay, so this was wheat, brick, sheep, wood, orange.
I had no idea how you were getting there.
Alright, so that was our Catan show basically. You saw all 3 of the different versions that we did. Now it's time to score. Let's see who did the best. Obviously we left out the audience that actually played the game because they don't really matter. I mean,
who cares about them?
They probably matter the most. But anyway, back to this, right? So in the beginning we said size, 1 point per foot. Portability, 10 points we start off with, and then you lose 1 point for each trip you take back to the car. And then cost, 1 point you get for under 20 bucks and negative 1 point for over 20 bucks per dollar, by the way. So that might hurt on a couple of ours. So, let's start off with size. Mine ended up being, mine was 18 feet as it turns out.
Mine was,
I get 18.
16 feet.
16. Eric?
It depends.
On?
Do I get to add certain components to the end of my game?
We didn't, but it probably wouldn't add much to ours, right?
Correct.
Assuming you did them like in groups sort of a thing.
Yeah.
So let's add 2 feet to each of ours, and then let's say you added all of them together, what would it end up being? Feet? Yeah. That's pretty good. But the cake itself was
16 inches.
16.
So the board was 16 inches.
Right.
And your game was 12 feet.
What was big?
What? I'm missing 10 feet.
Or maybe we should wait for cost on that.
Am I bad at math?
Yeah, well, we'll just wait for
All right, all right,
Okay.
all right. We'll keep going through.
We'll see. I'm intrigued.
All right, yeah.
You got me interested.
You got 12 feet, but it was really only 1.5 feet.
Rounded up to 2.
Rounded up to 2.
All right.
2.
We'll give it a 2 there.
We're generous.
Generous. But that doesn't really matter anyway. It's parentheses.
Yeah.
For goodness sake. All right. Portability. 10 points you start out with. Number of trips you take back to the car. I only took the 1 trip. It was difficult. It was heavy.
Was it worth it? In hindsight,
not taking multiple trips?
In hindsight, if you were to do it again, would you take multiple trips?
Well, here's the thing. I'm the type of guy that goes grocery shopping, buys all these bags. I take 1 trip from the car.
But my question is,
I'm walking from the car.
Were you to set this up and there's no scoring involved?
Sure.
Would you take more than 1 trip?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. Use 1 trip. All right, Brian, what'd you get?
1 trip?
1 trip, yep. You got a very light bag.
I could carry it in my pinky.
Right. However, the wind did kind of blow around.
By wind, you mean drone.
I mean, it's wind. It's wind. Man created. All right, Eric, what do you got for portability?
1.
You made 2 trips.
Trip plus 1.
1 trip plus
1
1?
plus 1, okay.
All right, so 9. That's not bad, right? None of us had like a ridiculous amount of trips.
Yep.
All right, cost. This is where it might hurt.
So we started, the producer gave us $20 each.
20 bucks a piece, yep. Bye, Eric.
How much did you spend?
I spent 32.
Okay.
So I started off with 32.11.
We'll call it 32.
Right, 32 rounded down. So I lose 1 point for each over 20. I start out at, I guess, 0, right?
Yeah.
So I get negative 12.
Okay,
right?
it's not
I did
bad.
that math right? Yeah.
So you finish it at what, 18, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So I ended up at 18.
Not bad, not bad.
Brian!
So speaking of 18.
Yeah.
I spent $18.08. So 18.
That's pretty good.
So 2-point bonus.
Yep.
And can I just point out to
+2.
those of you playing along at home, if you have like nails and tape in your house, you could make this for under $10.
That's pretty good.
So
that's pretty good. I mean, it was a rubbish design, but it was pretty good.
it looks great from the drone. You saw the drone footage. Admit it. It looks
looked
amazing from the drone.
I didn't get drone footage.
Aww. We can remedy.
We can take yours outside.
Right. So you've got 30 points. Ouch. Ouch.
I think that should be a smiley face. That's okay, I guess. It's amazed.
Yes, that's what it
It's
is.
shock and awe.
Anyway.
Weird eyebrows.
Angry eyebrows.
Okay, so Eric.
All right, Eric, what do you have for cost?
Can we just point out you're currently at 21. If you spent $11 or less, you win.
Here we go.
Going for 11 or less.
$71.
$71. That'd be a negative 51.
Can we agree though that his tasted the best?
I didn't taste it, but I have to imagine.
Okay.
It was probably the best.
And it was played in air conditioning.
Yes. So arguably the most enjoyable.
Yes.
Many laughs.
I would say easily the most enjoyable.
All right. So what is that? 14. No,
No,
it's
it's
12. 12 plus 9.
21.
21 minus 51 is negative 30. For all you mathematicians. Look at this!
Hey!
Look at this! And I didn't tell you this, but we actually group all the scores as a team depending on what city you're from. So these become 0. Boom.
Cedar Falls, Waterloo.
Oh! Close enough. It's a metropolis. It's a
He's not
sprawling
Waterloo.
metropolis. All right, so the question becomes, Eric, you spent $51. Or 71. 71 is what it was. What did you spend it on? We saw the cake.
Yeah, I saw zebra cakes.
There was lots of ingredients going towards the cakes.
I saw frosting.
Lots of frosting, lots of bits and pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And then, roughly.
Show us. Show
So
the
he
viewers.
spent on something.
Mm-hmm.
There's about $40 of it.
Largest army. I don't know if you can see the lettering. Yep. There we go. So whoever got largest army had to carry that around. Worked as a nice backdrop. So
I'm guessing this is also what added most of your
About
size.
$40,
And this was your second trip.
5 feet roughly.
Yeah.
So this cost you, okay, so it helped you on the size.
Yeah.
Wasn't worth it.
But you lost 41 points on cost and portability. Any final comments on the Catan show?
If anyone wants a largest army poster,
comment below. You pay shipping.
You could help me drop my score a little bit, or raise my score a little bit.
Sold components turn into points.
Oh, nice. It's like a running total thing. All right, I think that's all we have.
Yeah.
So thanks for tuning in. See you guys next time.
Let us know any other specials you'd like to see in the future, and we may or may not do them.
Comment below.
Don't know what's forward.
Dude. Dude.
So hello, Eric. Tell us about your adventure.
Well,
First, we saw David Hasselhoff. Next to Burt Reynolds. And that was a glorious mustache.
Yep. Hi. How are you? Are you sad? Or are you happy? This isn't creepy at all. Oh, blocked. My army protects me.
From a noodle.